All right, guys, today we're doing the Damond Motorsports catch can on the 2018 Fiesta ST. It's got an inline and an outline that we'll show you how we're going to install, and it has a little drain on the bottom of it, which is pretty cool. So you can see here these two screws are what holds the bracket, and then the bracket will end up sitting right on this bolt right here. You can see it. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the bottom of the PCV hose right here, which is this one. And then we're going to follow it right up to the top and take it off right here. And then we'll show you the next step. All right, so when you're removing these Pcv connectors, this is the top one right here, you actually squeeze, not where these tabs are right here, but on the sides, you can feel it kind of squeeze together. So you just squeeze those and then you pull. It's a little tricky, but there we go, I just got that one, no problem. And then there's a little piece right here. Yep, we're going to pull that off with a panel removal tool. Perfect. And then that line comes right out, super easy. For assembly, the first thing we're doing is putting the, I don't know, drain nozzle on the bottom. It's plastic, so you really don't need to go crazy tight. Put a little Teflon tape in there to tighten that up. And then the next thing we're gonna do to prep the can here is we're going to put the bracket on next. And so the bracket goes on. I was kind of messing around with it a little bit, and I watched a couple other videos where people are struggling, but it goes on like that. I think you can pick the top or bottom hole here. But the point is that by putting it on like this, when you actually mount it in there, you're going to mount it onto that bolt we talked about, and then you'll have the two lines facing you just like that. So we're going to use a little blue Loctite and tighten that bolt in there, and we'll get ready to start mounting all the hoses. Okay, so I did leave the bolt on the back loose, which is a 10 millimeter right on the back side here, and that's so I can kind of mess with this bracket a little bit. It can help me get it where I want, and I just got this one started with my finger right here. And it wasn't too hard, and this piece will go in. You just gotta gently wiggle it in there. You don't need to force anything. Short hose goes on top with, what is that, check valve right in there? And then the long hose goes on the bottom. So this will go right up to the front right here, and this long one is gonna route back up through here, up to this. And we'll show you how we end up deciding to route that when we're done. But for starters, we're gonna tighten up the bolts on the catch can itself, and then that'll be mounted in there nice. And we left the drain hose on the bottom off because I didn't want to get tangled up in there. And I figured when I'm doing an oil change, I'll just stick it on the bottom, or just, you know, put a funnel up to it and drain it out, whatever I feel like doing from the bottom to make it easier. But I didn't want to risk burning it on something or getting it caught somewhere. But overall, the can looks pretty nice. Good construction, and we'll show you the next step in a second. And it's also a 10 mil bolt for the end of that, for that nut right there. Okay, so the top hose plugged in no problem. You can see right here, or the bottom hose rather, the long one. So you can see the top one's coming straight to the bottom. The top one we just routed back up through here, kind of where it was. Clicked right in, nice satisfying click. Bottom one a little trickier. Now, when you look right here, there's actually, oh, my camera was way off. You can see there's a little nub right here. You can see a little channel where my finger is, and you can see another channel right here, okay? So these two channels on the sides, those line up with these two side channels. So when you first push it in, they don't line up perfectly. So you gotta rotate a little bit. And it clicks right there you go. So yeah, you just rotate it right to fit in those channels. So the top one didn't seem to need that, or we just got lucky the first try. And then we're gonna zip tie this hose right here, right up to this little hole right here. This is kind of a nice hold point right there, so it doesn't put stress on this wire right here. And then for the coolant line, we were talking about diving underneath it, but actually I think it's fine resting on top. It doesn't feel like it's pulling on this line at all. And we're gonna zip tie them together anyway to give them a little more support. So we'll keep zip tying that up with these bolts right here. If you look at the can and it's kind of wonky, like forward or left, right, you can just loosen those a little bit, and you can actually get the 10 mil wrench right on the back of this, on the back of the bracket. And the back side is the one we put the blue Loctite on. I didn't bother with the bolt up front here just in case I got to take it off or whatever. Or nylock, yeah.
It's a nylock anyway. So.
Nylock nut. I always say bolt. Always say bolt all the time. But anyway, pretty simple installation. And there's a lot of benefits to a catch can, which is why I kind of went with it. Basically, instead of dumping oil from your, I don't know what top crankcase into your intake to burn up the oil, now you have a catch can that's keeping that. And so instead of dumping it into your intake and then having that go over your intake valves and getting them all gummy and nasty, this should give you a little more longevity in the motor. So that's why I went with it, because I'm keeping this until we go with an S280 turbo, and we're gonna go crazy, and it's gonna be amazing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you have any comments, shoot them in, and we'll see if we can answer your questions.